Welcome, everybody, to your Week 15 Fantasy Football in Review for Mills and Friends League 2024. I'm your commissioner, Scott Mills, and now we're going to go through the Week 1, Round 1 of the playoffs results with you all. And no, we're not starting with the playoffs like the people who are in the top 6 team playoffs. We're going to start by looking at the toilet bowl. Isn't that great? So the toilet bowl is going to determine who is last place in our league. We don't have any particular uh, thing that last place has to do or any kind of unrewarding thing. They just get the nice little poop emoji to their name, I guess, for next year. So so that's what we have to look forward to in these matchups. So I'll be really quick going through. So the way this works is actually if you lose, you move on. So if you win, then you halt the going towards the turd. So I'll be going ahead and looking at the Land of Misfit Players matchup versus Team Ludina first. And I won this matchup, so Team Ludina goes on to play against probably Don. I think it'll do reseeding for the toilet bowl. I know there's reseeding in the top ones, so I'm a little more sure on that one. But yeah, so Team Ladino will go on, and we'll be playing against either Team Don or Team Mills cards, and then also Team Shack will be moving on as well. And Team Mills cards and Team Don got first round buys because they were the two worst teams in the regular season. So, and then up at the top, we had this is the one that everybody is wanting to know about. So here we go. This is the big bracket. As we can see, the two teams that had buys did have really big scores. So Dominic with 156 and Chance with 140. So both of the top two teams putting up really nice scores, even though it didn't really matter for them. And then we had down here upset the 6 seeded team putting up the high score for the week at 173.3 for the Return of the King team, taking down the 3 seeded Team Emmy, who I know there were multiple people who were saying after the initial draftings that Team Emmy they thought was the strongest team. And Team Emmy ended up being the 3 seed and goes out with a whimper in the first round of the playoffs. Unfortunate for Team Emmy, just going up against a really tough matchup here. It's really hard to beat 173 points. So it looks like the Return of the King team is getting hot at the correct time. And then there's a nail biter came down to Monday night here in our second playoff matchup. You had the Sean's team, the Lamb Chub Play Along team, beating Egg Ball Elite by just 3 points, moving on. So since there is reseeding, the Return of the King team will move on to face the number 1 seeded Dominic's team up here. And then the Lamb Chub Play Along team will move on to face Chance's team, Phoebe's Warriors. So I'm just going to go through these matchups here really quickly and what happened. So I'll be really quick with these toilet bowl games because nobody really cares too much. But Wolves Warriors, you're done. You're good. Your place is set. As I believe 8th place, and then I think my team ended up just being 7th place then. So because we won. So no defense of the title was possible for the Wolves Warriors team. But yeah, Lamar Jackson was really good for him this year. The trade for Brian Robinson, I traded with my team, didn't work out for either of us in the end because we both ended up missing the playoffs by a little bit. Jamar Chase was very good this year, not a huge game from him this week. Here was a 0 spot for Shaq's team out of Cooper Kupp. Only 3 targets. The Rams put up a ton of points the week before against Buffalo, and then they faced the 49ers, and there were no touchdowns scored in that game. James Cook was like one of the lone good players here for Seeking Forgiveness team, and Jameis Winston was horrendous against the Chiefs for the Browns. That's what you get with Jameis Winston. That's why he doesn't really find a job in the league. That's why he was a deal for the Browns to sign in the offseason, and why he has kind of become just a backup quarterback because he throws too many interceptions. Only 1 fantasy point, so that's really bad. Just a really poor performance. But you know what? You're still not the worst yet, Seeking Forgiveness. So if you put together a better fantasy performance next week, then you might be able to avoid being the worst team. So I will go ahead and look at this other matchup, which was my team, Land of Misfit Players, against Team Ludina. I did put up 111 against 100. 111 wouldn't have really won me in the first round of the playoffs. Well, it actually, if I was the 6th seed and I was going up against Team Emmy, I actually would have won the first round of the playoffs, which is what I would have been if I would have gotten like 2 more points in my Week 14 game. So yeah, I actually would have won this. Although I did start the wrong quarterback. Anthony Richardson had about 8 more points than Russell Wilson did. My running back I had to go with because Kenneth Walker's still hurt, and then he ended up getting hurt. So definitely struggling there at the running back position. But wide receiver really came on strong, and Jonnu Smith was a huge pickup, but it was just too little too late that I found Jonnu Smith and that Jonnu Smith started actually playing well. So that was unfortunate. And then, yeah, I had really good kicker performance there too. And then I started the wrong defense too. I accidentally went with Buffalo's defense. I just forgot to switch them out with Dallas's defense. So could have had a much bigger game there. Okay, let's get on to the matchups that everybody actually cares about, the playoff matchups. So let's take a look at the Return of the King blowing out Team Emmy, 6th seed, beating the 3 seed here. So we've got both of the quarterbacks had very nice games. So I mean, you look at these first 2 scores, and things look like they're going pretty good for Team Emmy. 22 out of the quarterback, Jaden Daniels. 25 out of Jahmyr Gibbs. And then for Return of the King, you had Jalen Hurts with 27 and 15 out of Kamara, which are really nice performances here. Rico Dowdle has been very good for the Cowboys. One of the I don't want to say lone bright spots because I think CeeDee Lamb has been pretty good for the Cowboys, but he definitely emerged to be better than I think people expected this year with Rico Dowdle. 150 yards on the ground and no touchdowns, which would have made his game even better if he had. But here we can start to see where Team Emmy really their team fell apart. Saquon Barkley, who's been carrying Team Emmy all year long with just a measly 8.4 points, which is a little bit surprising too because they did beat Pittsburgh by 14 points. So you would have thought that it would have been a running script because they were up in that game for most of the game. So very interesting how that turned out. And then at the receiver spot, really a struggle here. Jalen Waddle, I guess, must have gotten hurt. Only had 2 targets, put up a 0 spot, which is not what you want to see. And Davante Adams went off for almost 200 yards receiving and 2 touchdowns. So going back to old Davante Adams from the Green Bay days there, the old men linking up between Aaron Rodgers and Davante Adams in this one. Very interesting there. And yeah, Kansas City's defense demolished the Browns. So again, that was another big one for the return of the King team there. So overall, yeah, just better numbers overall there. And Team Emmy struggled outside of those top 2 players. The main heavy hitters just were not hitting in the playoffs when it mattered most. So let's go ahead and move on to our other playoff game, our really tight one that came down to Monday night. So Lamb Chub's play along. Their owner actually texted me last night towards the end of that Bears game and is like, if Chicago gets the ball one more time, I'm going to lose. Because Keenan Allen was for the Egg Ball Elite team. Josh Allen again with a monstrous performance, almost carrying Egg Ball Elite to another victory despite some other rough performances. The wrong choice for starting quarterback here for Lamb Chub's play along definitely made him very nervous there on Thursday night when Brock Purdy only had 4.98 points. But the fact that Kenneth Walker was hurt for Seattle and Lamb Chub play along held on to Zach Charbonnet all year for exactly this moment. And it paid off with a 13-point performance there. Joe Mixon with not a great performance, but it wasn't nothing. Like, we've seen plenty of 0-spot games, and this was at least better than that. So CeeDee Lamb had a really good game. Got the touchdown, which is always big for those top players to get. Xavier Worthy with the big game against the Browns, so that really helped out there. And the other receiver spot, that really helped him get the win. And Jerry Jeudy with the big game, 100 yards receiving on 11 catches. So that was really nice to see too, and a little bit receiver light on this team for Lamb Chub play along. But getting it done, Travis Kelce had another stinker of a game. But over here for Egg Ball Elite, his tight ends were kind of stinkers too. So, Terry McLaurin with the big game. And there you really have it. So, the main hitters here, Keenan Allen was trying, almost got the win for Egg Ball Elite, but there just wasn't enough other stuff going on besides Josh Allen and Keenan Allen. So the Allen guys just couldn't quite get it done. And there wasn't much on the bench that Egg Ball Elite could have done either. So that's it. So your next matchups are going to be, I believe, it's going to be the Return of the King team versus Dominic's team, Spooky Season. And you'll have Lamb Chub Play Along versus Phoebe's Warriors. And then down here in the Toilet Bowl, so let's just see. So Team Ludina is actually, yeah, I think Team Ludina maybe versus No McCaff Attack, I believe is what it's going to be. And then Seeking Forgiveness versus Team Mills Cards. I believe that's what the matchup will be. Not sure on this Toilet Bowl ones, but the main bracket, I'm almost positive on that that's what the matchups will be. So that's gonna be it for this week in review. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you'll tune in next week when we will know who our championship matchup will be. So we're in the semifinals now. And congratulations to those final 4 teams. And next week we will know who will be fighting for the chance to take home the championship. And a pretty good amount of cash. So, all exciting. Have a good night, everybody. And we'll catch you next week.